and welcome to this event in partnership with the University of Gothenburg. My name is Stefania, and I will be moderating this webinar on behalf of Doxity. I see here that our first participants have joined us, so a warm welcome to all of you. Before we commence with our session, we will take a few moments to allow everyone to connect. So while we wait, please feel free to say hello or introduce yourself in the chat. Additionally, we are quite interested in knowing where are you joining us from. So please take a moment to share your location here in the chat that you'll find on Zoom. And thank you for being a part of this webinar today. We will commence shortly, I swear. Meanwhile, I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know that we also have a Q&A session scheduled immediately following the presentation. So this is your moment to engage with our panelists that you can see here. So please feel free to share your questions and curiosity in our Q&A box. We will be thrilled to read them after our presentation. And also, if you're interested in receiving the certificate of attendance issued by Doxity, stay tuned because we will give you more information after the session. And here we are, our first participants saying hi from Philippines. So now talking about the lineup, as you can see on the screen in a moment, we will delve into a short introduction of Gothenburg University as a student city, their mission and the study system, housing, but also a welcome program and events for students. So after this, we will introduce the Gothenburg University programs, like conservation, life science and chemistry, and last but not least, ocean-related subjects. So finally, we will end the presentation with the Q&A session that I told you, where our panelists will answer to all of your questions. So please stay tuned till the end. As you can see now, our panel today is rich and varied. In fact, we have with us student ambassadors, professors, and study counselors. So thank you for everyone for being part of this event. And without further ado, let's get started. It's my pleasure to introduce you Petra, Education Officer and International Coordinator of the Faculty of Science. So Petra, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Stefania. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Petra. I'm working as an educational officer and international coordinator at the Faculty of Science. So today we're going to introduce you to the Faculty of Science, the University of Gothenburg, and especially with three focus areas, namely ocean-related subjects, conservation, and life science and chemistry. You also have a list of all our master's programs at the link below. So we have in total 20 international master's programs here at the Faculty of Science. You can see the focus areas, the programs within the focus areas marked in pink in this slide. And feel free to ask us to share the full presentation afterwards if you want to. And now I'm going to give my word to Stefania again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Petra. And now we leave the floor to the student ambassadors, Anna and Adela. So girls, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Anna, and I'm going to be the first student ambassador talking to you. So I will share my presentation. Now, my name is Anna, and I come from France. This is my second master program at Gothenburg University. I study environmental sciences. So why I chose Sweden and this program? Well, I've always been fascinated by Scandinavian countries and most specifically Sweden because I like the nature. I think it's also very well preserved. I also like the architecture, which is quite different than what I'm used to. So I like to take pictures of random buildings, and even now after 4 years, I still do that. But I also like the fika here, that is the little break that Swedish people take at 2 p.m. to drink coffee and eat pastries together. And since I love food, fika is really a good thing for me. So as I said, this is my second master program. My first one was called Atmosphere, Climate, and Ecosystems. And I can really feel that I have a different mentality compared to when I started my first master. But I always had the same mentality when I chose why I chose my two programs is because of the fact that they are sustainability related. Why I chose Gothenburg? I like Gothenburg because it's really close to nature. We have parks, lakes, a botanical garden with a nature reserve behind it. And there is always something interesting happening here, whether you like to go to festivals, cultural events, or, for example, like me, food events. There is always something to discover here in Gothenburg. So a bit more about Gothenburg, as you can see here. So Gothenburg is a friendly and international university city. It has more than 60,000 students, a very modern transport network that is, we have trams, buses, and one that is the most special, maybe the ferries. I used to go to my Swedish courses by boat, and that's very nice experience. 23% of the people living in Gothenburg are actually born outside of Sweden. So here it's very easy to have friends from all over the world. As I said, nature is really around the corner. And also what I like about Gothenburg is it's easy to combine city life and university life. So Gothenburg University is a university that's really open to the world. We have more than 3,000 international students, very strong international networks with multiple countries. What is good is also there are scholarships for fee-paying students, different kind of students. We'll talk a bit more about this. And out of 80 master's programs in English, 20 are at the Faculty of Science. So the main headquarters of Gothenburg University are in Gothenburg, but you also have marine sciences in Chelmno or in Christiansberg, where if you take marine science courses, you might have some expeditions there. While if you study conservation, you might have the opportunity to go to Mariestad. So here in these pictures, the one at the top is Chelmno, then you have Christiansberg and then Mariestad. Personally, I have been to Chelmno for a week, and it was really one of the best experiences I've had. I didn't want to leave then. Concerning the city campuses, we have a new building this year, 2023, that is called Natrium. And at Natrium, you have all the life science programs. Johannebel, it's more chemistry and mathematics, for example, if that's what you're interested in. So at Natrium, it will host approximately 3,000 students, so 5 different departments. And in this building, I have had the chance to see around, and there are very advanced laboratories, which are all new and very modern. And you also have office workspaces. So for example, if you want to do your master thesis, you write your master thesis, you could have a spot in this building. The study system in Sweden, I would say it's quite easy. So you have 30 credits per semester if you study full time. So that can be courses of 7.5 or 15 credits. The 2 years master program is 120 credits. So you have 4 semesters with 2 periods in each semester. So you have fall and then spring. The thesis, you can do a master thesis of 30, 45, 60 credits. That can depend on the program that you are studying. For the evaluation, it can be a quiz, a presentation, a laboratory report, literature review. I think most of the time it's, from what I had, is you have a final exam. The grades here in Sweden, you don't have any numbers. It's fail, pass, or pass with distinction. And you can retake your exams throughout the year. And if you have any questions, if you're not sure which course should I take, you can always ask your study counselors. Personally, me, I've always had answers really quickly and very accurate answers. So I'm very happy of my study counselor. So if you want to be a part of the Gothenburg University next year, you should apply to one of the programs that is in this link, universityadmissions.se. It concerns the whole of Sweden. The first round of application is between the 16th of October to the 15th of January. And it's very important that you prepare all supporting documents stating that you fulfill the entry requirements, because depending on the country that you come from, your situation, you will have different requirements than someone else. Something also important is the visa, scholarships, and the insurance. So we really recommend everyone to apply during the first admission round, because then you have your admission letter earlier, you have more time to get ready, and it's less stress. Even for the European people who come from EU, we also recommend to apply during the first admission round. If you need a visa, we recommend to apply in time, so in April. And also, you are covered by different kinds of insurance, depending on your situation, it can be a different insurance. But for example, I know that people who pay tuition fees have a specific kind of insurance, but I'm not an expert. So if you need more information, I recommend to go on the Gothenburg University website and go to this address. Concerning the scholarships, so we have, for example, the Axel Adler Scholarship or the Swedish Institute Scholarship. So you have to be very careful of their requirements. For example, Axel Adler Scholarship, you need to have Gothenburg University as your first choice, and you need to apply in the first round. But again, if you want more information, you can find it on studyInSweden.se or on the GU website. And if you are interested in doing an exchange, there are many exchange possibilities at the Gothenburg University. If you want to go to Australia, Japan, USA, for example, there's some possibilities. There are no extra tuition fees. So if it's something that is interesting for you, even if it's just an idea, we recommend that you talk to your international coordinator so that you can see what are the possibilities early, and then you can have an idea of what you can do. And now I'm gonna let Adela continue.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Adela. I'm also one of the student ambassadors, just like Anna is. So my name is Adela, like I said before. I come from the Czech Republic, and here at GU I'm studying the Masters in Marine Science. And actually my road to Sweden was a little bit of a bumpy one. Because I always knew I'm not always, but since like I was like in high school, I knew I was interested in marine biology. But since, you know, the Czech Republic doesn't have the ocean, there are no programs in my home country that would offer that I could take. So I decided to take my bachelor's back home, but then I was on the hunt for some masters in marine biology. And I had some friends that studied in Sweden previously, and they're like, oh, it's really nice, you should try it. And so I started my research. I started looking at which universities in Sweden offer marine science. And once I stumbled upon Gothenburg University, I knew it was going to be my first choice, because the infrastructure we have for marine science is really amazing. Like Anna mentioned before, we have 2 research stations in Sweden, one in Tjärnö, one in Kristineberg. We also have a research vessel, Skagerrak, that actually is a new boat, like since last year. It's amazing. So I'm really happy that I chose this because it's amazing. And then Gothenburg as well, like, I mean, the same reasons as Anna mentioned. It is the second largest city in Sweden. So, you know, it's a big city and you have all the perks of living in a city. So you have a lot of cultural events, a lot of, you know, good public transport and everything. But it's also really close to the nature still. So my favorite obviously is the ocean, but we have a lot of lakes, we have a lot of parks, a lot of forests, and it almost seems like you're in nature, even though you're in the city. But I think that's enough about me. And now I will just tell you a little bit about finding housing in Gothenburg, which can be a little bit tricky. So I will start with student housing. So we have something called SGS, which is the student housing here in Gothenburg. And my advice to you would be to register on SGS as soon as possible, even like after the webinar finishes, because what you do in SGS is you collect queue days, the amount of days you've been registered, and based on that, you are offered the accommodation. And I will be honest, it is really hard to find accommodation in SGS because usually the queue times, you have to have at least like a year of queue times to get accommodation. But what you can do is you can focus on the options direct and last minute, which you don't have to have a lot of queue time for that. It's just like leftover apartments that are free to take, and it's usually first come, first served. So you can keep a lookout on SGS and be lucky in that sense. What you can also do is join the student union. So once you are accepted and once you register for your courses, you can, we have the YOTA union here at the faculty. And when you join, you get 3 months of queue time. And then you get, for every semester you've studied, you get 1 extra month, which of course can be beneficial maybe during your second year of studies if you would like to move. And of course, on SGS website, you'll find all the information about the housing. So you will find what type of apartment it is, if it is single apartment or if it's a room, if it's a shared apartment, what the rent price is, how long you have to have in queue points to get that apartment. And also the buildings, you know, can offer facilities as parking, gym and storage, etc. So all of that information you can find on the SGS website. But like I said before, it can be a little bit tricky, especially in your first year to get to SGS apartments. So private housing, because getting a SGS apartment can be quite tricky, especially in the first year. So you can join Facebook groups. If you just go on Facebook and Google something like Gothenburg accommodation or student Gothenburg accommodation, is actually, there's quite a lot of groups. You can also look at websites such as Bostad, Blocket, etc. But what I would recommend is to look, not, you know, there's a lot of people searching for accommodation, and if you're only going to look in the city center, there's a high chance you're not going to find anything. So maybe look a little bit more outside the city center, because the, like Anna mentioned as well, the public transport here is pretty awesome. Like it is quite efficient to get into the city center and to uni, so you don't have to live in the city center essentially. But if you look at private housing, it is really important to be aware of scammers. Our advice typically is to not pay anything in advance until you've seen the flat or the room before you got here, just because people can take advantage of you really easily. But if you don't manage to find any housing before you get to Gothenburg, you can also look in some temporary accommodation reservations for your first days. That means it maybe you find something, but only for a month. I would say it's better than nothing, because once you're here, it is usually easier to find something, and you can get, you know, you meet people and they're like, oh yeah, I have this room available, you can move in there. Or you can also look at the options of looking at staying in hostels or hotels. I actually had a friend who did that last year because he was not able to find any accommodation. So he stayed in a hotel for like the first 2 months, but after that he was able to find accommodation. So, you know, so in the end, you will always find something. It might just be a matter of time. You can also, there's a link for more tips on student housing if you want to check that out later. And then, Anna, you can just quit the slide, please. Yes, thank you. Once you get here, if you get accepted and you'll join us here at the end of August, the faculty and also the university, we organize a lot of welcome events and programs. So we always have welcome days in August and then in January for the new coming students. We also, as the Faculty of Science ambassadors, we try to plan some fun events for students who are already at the faculty, so that you can, you know, get a little break from your studies and meet new friends and have fun. But there's also the student union, like I mentioned already, and they have a lot of stuff going on. We also do collaborative events with UniMeet Gothenburg and Move to Gothenburg. And also we have the welcome services at Gothenburg University. So there's a lot of options for events and fun stuff happening once you get here. Okay, and that is all for me for today.
Okay, thank you, Anna, and thank you, Adela. So now it's the time to explore the programs offered by Gothenburg University. To begin, we will delve into the conservation program, which will be presented by Boo, senior lecturer and assistant head of department, along with Charlotta, senior lecturer and program coordinator. So Charlotta, the floor is yours.
So there was a mention of life science in Atrium, and well, we are part of life science if you recognize cultural life as part of life science. Otherwise, we are the odd department on Atrium. And we are situated in Gothenburg, half the department, and half the department is in Mariestad, which is some 200 kilometers from Gothenburg. In Gothenburg, we run the two master's programs, and I'm responsible for our so-called old master's program. It's a master's program in the broad subject area of conservation involving built environment, landscapes, and not specifically conservation of cultural objects, which Lotta will talk more about. The master's program in conservation that I'm responsible for is depending on that you have a certain interest for going in depth. So we have some mandatory courses comprising of 30 credits, and then you choose the rest of the course components depending on what kind of interest you have. We have courses in cultural landscapes, we have courses in maritime heritage, we have courses in industrial heritage that are optional, but you could also have individual courses. We have also two very popular courses in digital technologies for recording and assessing cultural objects, including 3D scanning, digital photogrammetry, and 3D modeling. You could, as a master student, choose if you want to write your master thesis as a 30 credit thesis or a 60 credit thesis. We have roughly 12 to 14 students every year, so it's a rather small group. You got to know each other very well. And just now I'm on a conference in Stockholm talking about safeguarding the heritage of Ukraine during and after the war. So any questions you have in regards to this master's program, please note the email address coming up in the end. If Lotta could send the presentation to the organizers, and you are welcome with any questions you have in terms of the nature of our conservation program.
All right, I will talk to you about the master's program in conservation of cultural heritage objects. I am the program coordinator for this course. The conservation program of cultural heritage objects at the University of Gothenburg is unique in Sweden. This is the only education for conservators in Sweden, both on the BA and master's level. And the entry requirement to the master's program for students that they have approved a bachelor's degree in conservation of cultural heritage objects from Sweden or from abroad. In Sweden, the bachelor's program has a general orientation teaching chemistry, theory of conservation, remedial conservation of inorganic as well as organic materials, preventive conservation, and so forth, while the specialization on the master's level has a specific focus. On the master's level, the specific specialization of certain materials or type of objects change every year. At the moment, we are teaching textile conservation, and in 2024, we will start a specialization in conservation of archaeological materials. In 2025, it will be conservation of stone and so forth. As we have this long-term planning, we can also invite teachers which have their specific knowledge in each specialization or specific field. And Sweden is also a full member of something called European Network for Conservation, Restoration, Education, ENCORE, and the program followed their requirements, which is a 3+2 year curriculum. And the Department of Conservation has several collaboration projects with other institutions in Sweden and abroad, giving the opportunity to bring master students for practical work at different museums, private businesses, and public agency. So what's in it for you? If you are looking for an education with dedicated and devoted lecturers and teachers who will make the utmost for you to succeed, who promotes critical thinking and personal development, this is a good education for you. We are small groups of students in our new facilities in Atrium, as you just seen, and we have custom-made and well-equipped conservation labs and research labs. There are 2 years as the other master theses, and there are some courses which will come back year after year, but they are focused on the specific material or the type of specialization at that particular year. I will not go into detail on the courses. There are curriculums for each course on our website, but I can give you a small brief presentation. First, we have a course called Documentation of Cultural Heritage Objects, which is really important. It teaches various technical visualization tools and methods for documentation of the objects. It can be photography, video, photogrammetry, and multispectral imaging. And then we have a 10-week, 15-credit course called then Specialization Conservation of Archaeological Materials 1. And the main focus is here on inorganic materials, including physical, chemical, and biological deterioration and degradation factors of materials such as metals, ceramics, and glass. And the materials are normally brought up and originate from terrestrial or marine environments. The students are also introduced to the challenges and problems of handling and transporting these fragile archaeological objects to the lab. Remedial and preventive conservation measures of different materials are also taught. And then we have a course called Material Science for Conservation, and it aims to give the students knowledge of various scientific methods of analysis for applications in conservation of archaeological objects and environments. And it provides tools for critical evaluation on how these tools and methods are used in various current conservation projects. And then we have a practical course again, another 10 weeks. It's specialization of archaeological materials 2. Then this course focuses on giving the students a deeper knowledge in deterioration and conservation of archaeological organic materials such as wood, bone, and textiles, also again from terrestrial and marine environments. And during the spring course, we have an in situ field conservation planned which will be taught together with the master students in archaeology. And it emphasizes the special role of the conservators in the archaeological excavations to understand risks and problems, as well as first aid activities. Lastly, we have a course called Current Issues in Conservation, and this course aims to develop critical thinking in relation to conservation of more complex archaeological objects. The course will cover contemporary theory and philosophy of conservation, and to discuss complex case studies such as conservation of archaeological objects or human remains from recent times, or in situ preservation of marine objects. During the second year, it's possible to either write a 60-credit master thesis, that's a full year, or split the year in 2 to have an internship, the first semester, and a master thesis, 30 credits, the second semester. Sometimes conservators have been working some years before they after they finish the bachelor's and start their master's, and they wish to specialize even further in one subject and therefore choose not to do the internship, but it is optional. And the internships can be done in Sweden or abroad, and in Europe it is possible to apply for Erasmus internship grants. Evaluation and grading of the courses varies from course to course, but active participation in seminars and workshops, oral presentations, written and individual assignments, and of course the master thesis are parts of the assessment of the students.
Okay, so thank you to both of you. Now we can delve deeper into the life science and chemistry program, which will be presented by Per Martin, study counselor at the Department of Chemistry and Molecular Biology. So Per Martin, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yes, I hope you see my presentation now. At least I see it. It seems to be working. My name is Per Martin. I'm the study counselor in chemistry for our department. We also have a study counselor for molecular biology. I will present our contact information later. Would you like to study the sciences that needs attention in the world today? If your answer is yes to that question, maybe some of our 3 programs can be the program that you seek. We contribute to reaching the UN goal for a sustainable future. We do this via studies and research in many different areas, environmental and climate changes, cancer, brain diseases, resistant antibiotics, for naming a few. We have 3 different programs that I will be presenting today. We have the master's program in molecular biology. To be able to apply for this program, you need bachelor's degree in molecular biology or biology, including at least 60 credits of biology and 30 credits in chemistry. And in this program, you start the year with courses in molecular biology, genetics, prokaryote and eukaryote molecular microbiology, and you finish up with a master thesis that could be either 30 or 45 or 60 credits. That's half a year up to 1 year. If you like to change courses, it's possible if you contact the study counselor once you have started or before you start. We also have a master's program in chemistry. To be able to apply for this program, you need a bachelor's degree, which contains 90 credits of chemistry. That's half a bachelor in Sweden. In the master's program in chemistry, you can choose between studying. We have 3 routes to the degree that we have predetermined. It's either neurobiology-ish, which contains 4 different courses in biochemistry and neurobiology and bioanalytical chemistry. You can also choose to study organic or medicinal chemistry and a mix of environmental analytical chemistry. And you end up with a master thesis, which can be half a year, 3/4 of a year, or a full year, which is 40 weeks in Sweden. It's also possible to choose courses and within this program. The third program I want to present for you today is the master's program in organic and medicinal chemistry. The prerequisite for this program is a bachelor's degree, which must contain 90 credits of chemistry. And of those 90, at least 22.5 credits need to be organic chemistry. That corresponds to the book Organic Chemistry by John McMurray, or at least 3 or 4 courses for if you don't have the ECTS credit system. I usually go through all the applications, and we also have interviews that make sure that you fulfill this organic chemistry prerequisite. In this program, you study 5 courses the first year. It is advanced organic chemistry, it is medicinal chemistry, and molecular modeling. We also have 2 even more advanced chemistry courses during the springtime, which is 1 course in natural product synthesis and 1 advanced course in medicinal chemistry. And for this program and this degree, you end up with a 1-year degree project or thesis. For all these 3 projects, you do your final master's project in one of our research groups, where you do some part of the research that is ongoing in the group. It's also a possibility to do the final degree project in a private company or at another department if you like. Why do you want to study life science in Gothenburg then? Yes, we offer interdisciplinary programs. Some are quite flexible. You can choose among different courses. We have internationally renowned research areas. You're allowed to develop your theoretical and practical skills in we have quite small classes, and which allows you to have close contact with the researchers and professors. If you need any further information, you can always contact me. My name is Per Martin Björmark, and I'm the study counselor in chemistry and medicinal chemistry. Or you can contact my colleague, Eva-Lena Axelsson. That's the study counselor in molecular biology. I have also included some of the contact information for International Center regarding tuition fees, if you have questions about that, or questions about the scholarships that were presented by Adela, I think.
Okay, thank you so much, Per Martin. Now it's time to shift to our focus to ocean-related subjects, which will be presented by the study counselors Maria and Matilda. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stefania. I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully this is working for everyone. Yes. Yeah, my name is Maria Botsov. I'm a study counselor at the Department of Marine Sciences. And with me today, I have my colleague Matilda Holtman, who's also a study counselor. The Department of Marine Sciences, where we both work, is Sweden's most complete environment for marine research, marine education, and is one of only 2 organizations of that kind in Europe. Our main building, Natrium, which has been mentioned by some of my colleagues and student ambassadors, is located in Gothenburg. This is where most of our teaching is conducted, and additionally, we have many courses that have field elements on either one of our research stations or research vessels. Our 2 research field stations, Shannon and Christina Bay, are 2 of Europe's most modern marine laboratories with unique possibilities to conduct advanced experimental work. Both stations have well-developed running seawater systems, scientific laboratories of high international standard, several research vessels, AUVs, and ROVs. RV Skagerrak is the University of Gothenburg's larger research vessel, used both for education and research within the marine sciences. Our university offers several international master's programs related to the ocean. The marine and maritime research at the university is prominent in several research fields, and all teaching is done by active researchers. This provides a solid foundation for students in a way that is unique in the Swedish context. In this presentation, we will talk about our master's programs in Sea and Society, Marine Science, and Physical Oceanography. We will not discuss the last two programs on this list, as they belong to another department. And the last one is coordinated by another university.
Okay, so we'll start by presenting the Sea and Society Master's Program. And this program is for anyone that is interested in the interactions between the ocean and the socioeconomic systems. So it's an interdisciplinary program where students, teachers, researchers, and professionals from different disciplines come together to learn and create new knowledge about the sustainable use of the sea and its resources. It's not only interdisciplinary by the topics that are taught, but also by the students who are from different academic backgrounds. So we have students from, for example, law, biology, history, arts as well. So any academic discipline is eligible for application. After the program, you'll get a Master of Science with a major in Sea and Society, and you'll be prepared to respond to increasingly complex challenges arising from humans' impact on the oceans. It's 2 years of studies, and the structure is, well, the first year, all students study together, 4 mandatory courses. And those courses are including topics such as historical perspectives and future challenges, blue economy, European marine directives and policies, and last, seascape governance. The third semester, you can choose from different options. It can be an internship in Sweden or abroad, or you can take elective courses at GU or at any other Swedish university, or study abroad. The final semester is dedicated to the master thesis, which is usually 30 credits, but you can also choose to do 45 credits. So then back to Maria. Oh, entry requirements, sorry. So the entry requirements is as I mentioned before, it's a bachelor's degree in any field. And the selection process is based on previous university studies, as well as the applicant's motivation letter and CV. So it's important that you remember to upload this in your application as well. Applicants must, as with all master's programs, you must prove your knowledge of English. And you can read more about this at the University Admissions website. Now it's back to Maria.
Now on to the Marine Science Master's Program. Yes. This interdisciplinary master's program at our university incorporates physical oceanography, marine biology, marine chemistry, and marine geology, and prepares the students to become tomorrow's problem solvers in marine sciences. Our students are choosing 1 or 2 specializations depending what they have studied in their undergraduate degree. The master's program kicks off with a mandatory course called Marine Project from Idea to Action, in which the student study to plan and execute a marine project. This first course is then followed by other courses within the student's specialization. And the second year is dedicated to either further courses. Our students can do internships, they can study abroad, or they can focus on a thesis project, which can range from 30 to 60 credits. The master's program in physical oceanography will give you an overview of the physical laws governing the evolution of ocean currents and the propagation of ocean waves. In this program, you will learn scientific programming and acquire different ways and knowledge on how we observe and study the ocean. We have courses in physical oceanography, ocean models, climate modeling, observing the ocean from micro to macro scale. And the students in this program can also choose to enroll in other courses. They can do internships abroad, studies abroad, and then just like in the previous 2 programs, they can enroll in a where they enroll in a thesis project ranging from 30 to 60 credits. The entry requirements for the marine science program is a bachelor's degree in one of the following listed subjects: marine sciences, biology, chemistry, oceanography, or earth sciences. In this, you will need to have at least 90 credits in the major subject, including a project work or bachelor thesis. For this program, it's also mandatory to upload a self-evaluation sheet together with your application. And in the physical oceanography program, you will need to have a bachelor's degree in either oceanography, meteorology, math, or physics. And for both of these programs, just like with the previous programs, you will need to fulfill the English requirements.
Okay, so we'll just mention these two programs very quickly. The first program you'll hear more about at the next webinar, which is on the 12th December. It's a collaborative program organized by 3 different Nordic universities. And then the next program is the International Master of Science in Marine Biological Resources. And this is a joint master's program, which is organized by 11 European universities amongst, where GU is one of them. And the program is coordinated by Ghent University in Belgium. So you can read more about the program and apply at imbrc.eu. Yes, if you have any questions about any of the programs, this is the email address you should email. So it's svl@marine.gu.se.
And lastly, as some of my other colleagues have also mentioned, you apply for all of the programs that we have presented today on university admissions. The application period is currently open and will be until January 15th. Make sure to prepare all your supporting documents, and you will find all information about which documents you will need to submit on university admissions. And we're looking forward to your applications.
Okay, thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Matilda. Now we got a few questions, so let's start. They ask, do you have a program for aquaculture fisheries?
I think me or Maria should take this question. It's mentioned in the Sea and Society Masters program, but it's not like the main focus. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And do you have a fully funded scholarship for international students?
Yes, we do. The scholarship that we were mentioning before is 100% fully funded.
Okay, good to know.
If you get accepted to it.
And talking about scholarship, they also ask if you offer a student accommodation like dorms.
Yeah, I think maybe I can answer that question. I think I mentioned a little bit. It's the SGS, is the student accommodation, which is basic. Some of the type of accommodations are basically a dorm. It's a room in a shared corridor. But like I said, it is not. It's not guaranteed that you're gonna get that accommodation. So, better to look at something else as well.
Okay. And also related to this, if you talk about the coast life in Gothenburg.
Yeah, Gothenburg, if I can start. Gothenburg is the second largest city in Sweden, but even if it is, it's you can find less expensive both accommodation and the costs for living compared to Stockholm, for example. We do have a counter at the website, at the Gothenburg University's website, where you can see approximately costs of living that I can share in this chat. But for accommodations, we usually tell the students to be prepared for about 400 to 700 euros per month. And then we have some like also a list of expenses for public transportation and food and other living expenses. So I'm going to share the link here.
Okay, thank you, Petra. And they are also asking if it's possible to follow online courses, like in a remote way.
I can answer this question. All of our master's programs are campus-based. There might be some courses that have lectures on Zoom, but the majority is campus-based, and it is not possible to follow a whole master's program online.
Okay, thank you. And we have a few questions related to languages. Maria, for example, is asking if there is a minimum requirement for English language.
The English requirements, if they are referring to what is needed to be eligible for a master's program, is listed on each master's program's page, and the information is also available on university admissions.
Okay, thank you, Maria. And do you also offer courses to improve the English level?
Not that I'm aware of. The University of Gothenburg also has a language department, which covers English courses, I'm sure. I'm not sure if this is something that our students would do as a preparation to start the program, at least not at our university.
Okay, and related to languages, we have an interesting question that is asking, is it difficult to learn Swedish? I don't know, maybe if some international between you want to answer to this question.
I can answer that because since it's my second master here, I have had some time to study Swedish. And the thing is, you have different possibilities. So the first one that you may think of, and that a lot of people think of, is that the University of Gothenburg offers Swedish courses. So it's like in the evening. But of course, since it's not the main occupation of the university, the spots are limited. So it's first come, first serve. And I looked at the website too late. So I saw that all the spots were filled. So I thought, okay, I'm going to find another possibility. And the thing is, in Sweden, you have what we call SFI. So it's Swedish for immigrants, and it's completely free. And it's very easy. You just have to. So I did it during this application. It was during COVID. So I don't know if it's maybe a bit different, but basically you just have a Zoom meeting with someone who asks you some questions like, what is your education level, which country you come from, or like very basic questions so that they get to know you. And then it can depend. It can be a few weeks. It can be a couple of months maximum, I think, depending on when you apply. And then you get a spot at SFI. There's different places in the city where you can get a spot. And then, so you have a teacher and you're in a class of 30 people maximum. And I think it was very nice. I'm very happy of these courses. I think it's very high quality. So it's approximately 2.5 hours, so every week, if you do like I do evening courses. But I think also Swedish, some people, depending on where you come from, for example, if you come from Germany, there are similarities, so it might be easier for you to learn. But I wouldn't say that Swedish is a complicated language. I think it's, for me, was quite easy to learn, but then yeah, it can depend on different people. I don't know if Adela has something to add.
Well, I haven't really actively learned Swedish, I guess. I think that's kind of, because you don't really necessarily need to learn Swedish when you get here, because English is so, everyone speaks English here, so you don't really need Swedish. But I think, like Anna said, it really depends where you come from and how similar your native language is to Swedish. For me, I think the pronunciation is kind of hard, not as much like the writing or the grammar, but the pronunciation is a little bit crazy.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on what you want to work with later. If you're going to work in like a big company, then everyone talks English. If you're going to work with smaller companies or like government, like the city of Gothenburg, then Swedish is quite important. But then it really depends. Do you want to just study in Sweden or do you want to live in Sweden? Then that's the question. Once you have answered it, then you know what to do.
Okay, thank you, Anna, and thank you, Adela, for sharing your experiences. It was really interesting. And now we can delve into some program-related questions. For example, they are asking, how are the chances of getting a job in the ocean-related subjects?
I would say this will always depend on which direction you would like to go in. Natural sciences will always, or there will always be a need for people working in the natural sciences. So I think this will depend on where you would like to work, both location-wise and in which field. But in general, yes, there are jobs in the ocean-related field, and it's a really broad field. So this will again depend on which direction you would like to go.
Okay, thank you. And Erickson is asking if the students are required to stay one of the marine stations of Jarno or Kristiansberg, and for how long?
We have several courses, or for many of our courses, we have field moments. Sometimes it's just 2 days, 3 days. We have 2 courses that are conducted entirely at the research station. I would say the majority of our students think it's really exciting. I'm guessing that Adela would agree on that. To have the opportunity to stay in a marine laboratory for several weeks at a time. And our students can also conduct their thesis project at one of the research stations with a researcher. And during this time, they would stay at the research station for the majority of this time.
Okay, thank you so much. We also have a question about molecular biology. They are asking, for the master program in molecular biology, can I apply if my bachelor degree is microbiology?
Yes, I think so. At least if you have more than 30 credits of chemistry within that program.
Okay, thank you for Martin. Another question is, does bonus point like ACTS you get outside of your university can help with getting admitted?
I can only speak for, sorry, Peter.
No, start. You can start.
I can only speak for the programs that we have in our department, but we're usually just going after the transcripts of their undergraduate degree. So if the students would like to enroll in other courses that are not part of an undergraduate degree, that's of course always welcome and will definitely help the student to broaden knowledge. I don't know if it's different for other programs, but for our programs, we're following the undergraduate degree.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on what courses you want to study in your program, but also there is like a maximum amount of ECTS that they can consider evaluating your application. I think it's like, I'm not sure. You can have a look at the university admissions page, but I think it's something around 240 ECTS or something.
Okay, thank you so much. And since we are running out of time, let's go with the last question. Antonin is asking if the university prefer applicants immediately going from bachelor's to master program, or are applicants with field experience preferred?
I can see that the student is asking about the marine science, or they're studying marine sciences now. So perhaps they would like to continue on the marine sciences. For our program, we don't really have a preference. Students are welcome to go straight from their undergraduate degree to a master's degree. They are welcome to work a couple of years. So this is up to the students' own preferences.
Yeah, it is the same at the Department of Conservation. We welcome those that have been working sometimes for many years and they come back to academia. And I think that is to have the difference younger and older together, that gives a good study environment, I think, when you have different experiences.
Okay, thank you. So I would say that for now we're done with the questions. But Petra, if you can share now the slides with all the contacts, because I see that our students are really interested in your programs. So in this way, they can directly contact you and write an email if they want to deep more your programs. And meanwhile, I would like to thank again our panelists to be with us today. And thanks everyone to have joined us in this webinar, to have been so curious and responsive with all your questions. I hope you learned a lot about Gothenburg University and that this helped you to make the decision to study at this university and to move in Sweden. I'd like to remind you that you can contact also the panelists in the email that we are going to show you. And if you're interested in receiving our certificate of attendance, you can click the link that I'm going to send right now in the chat. Here you are. And remember that we will share the recording with you in the following days, so please keep an eye on your emails. I would also take the opportunity to ask our panelists if you want to leave a message before saying goodbye to our students.
I just want to thank everyone, and thank you so much, and thank you for the interesting questions as well, and good luck with your planning for the future.
I can also add, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me or any one of my colleagues. We will gladly answer any of your questions that you might have.
Okay, so at this point, I would say thank you again, everyone, and I hope to see you again in the next webinar in partnership with Gothenburg University. We will send an email to all of you with more information about it. For me, it was a pleasure, so have a nice day. Bye.